We're lucky enough to have a presentation from Miss Newton's class at Flat Rocks. If you'll, over my left shoulder, here's the flag. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have anybody signed up? All right, first item on the agenda is the actual consent of the agenda and the approval of it. Everyone have opportunity to look over the information that was sent out.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Mr. Baltonite to present, to accept as presented, and a second from Mr. Watt. Any discussion? None? All in favor? We have 5. Next is approval of the February 12th, 2024 meeting minutes. Again, the information was disseminated. Everyone had the opportunity to look at that. Is there any?
I move to be approved as written.
I have a motion from Mr. Watt to approve.
Second.
Second from Mr. Holbrook. Any discussion? None? All in favor? Another unanimous. All righty, here's the fun part. We get to go to commendations.
We're always excited to see a full boardroom, to recognize our students and to have their parents with them. At this time, we would first like to recognize J.B. Tripp. He is the 2024 3A state wrestling champion at 165 pounds. That is quite an accomplishment, and we're proud of J.B. Also appreciate Coach Hayes and Coach Hannah being here tonight to support him and all the work you all did to help with his accomplishment. We also have some Art Center awards tonight. The first one is second place Elementary Division 2024 Anderson Art Center Juror Award for Justin Norris. Then we have third place High School Division 2024 Anderson Art Center Juror Award, Abby Azell. We also have a Merit Award 2024 Anderson Art Center Juror Award, Gabriela Cardenas. And we thank Ms. Jordan for being here. Do I see any of the other art teachers? Flat Rock, Ms. Grant. Okay, now for our VEX Robotics team from Flat Rock. 5th place, South Carolina VEX Robotics Elementary School State Championship, Parker Jimenez. If you'll stay here till the whole team comes up, just kind of line up there. Then we have Brody Becker. Not here. Justin Norris again. Leela Beth McCullough. Emma Jimenez. So this is our VEX Robotics 5th place state championship. Great job. We have one other student to do accommodation for, and that's Paisley Hatcher. She's 2024 South Carolina Music Education Elementary All-State Honor Choir. Congratulations, Paisley. And we also have Mr. Dukes here, her teacher, so thank you for being with us tonight. Congratulations, students, and thank you, parents, for coming to support your students and their accomplishments.
Next item on the agenda is information being brought to us from the United Way partners, Ms. Burdette and Mr. Davis.
Good evening. Good. Thank y'all for having us tonight, and we won't take a lot of your time, but on behalf of the Board of Directors for United Way, it's my honor and privilege to chair the United Way this year. And we just wanted to come and say thank you for your support over the years. It's a partnership that's been going on for a long time. We do a lot of different things throughout the school, and I think Mr. Coach does some fun things for United Way. Carol may talk about those in a minute, but I just wanted to say thank you. Carol's going to talk for a few minutes, and I said that we were at District 2 earlier, and sometimes she gets long-winded, but she won't be real long. But thank y'all for having us tonight, and we appreciate the partnership that we have with District 3.
I want to echo Mr. Davis in saying we are happy to be here today. One of the things that some of you may or may not know, I know Ms. Hipp knows this, that the award-winning teen pregnancy prevention program that United Way had with the school district started right here in District 3. And that 20-year period, we were able to decrease teen pregnancies within Anderson County by 81%. And we couldn't have done it without you. But we appreciate the fact that Ms. Hipp serves on our United Way board, and we appreciate the partnerships that we have. If you note on your paper in front of you, some of the things that are really important to United Way are important to you, I know, as members of the school board. And one of those is that we want every student reading on grade level by the time they leave third grade. And if you noted that we partner with you on the literacy celebration, 50 students, we look forward to more students being involved in our summer reading camp this upcoming year. We are also very excited that we are able to have students in our brand new program of Camp Mariposa. It is an evidence-based program just that allows students who may be struggling in their family with someone with addiction, and we're very excited about where that camp is going. We also have a couple of born learning trails in your community, but one of the most important things on this paper has everything to do with what we thought started out as being a way of helping children learn to read, and that was that we know children who spend the weekend with little to no food come back to school on Mondays hungry. And we don't ever want that to happen. We don't want it to happen because we don't want any child to go hungry, but we also want children to have some food over the weekend. So 66 of your students in the elementary age have food on the weekend from a little snack pack. Not what we might eat on the weekend, but it helps get them through. And we're excited about the fact that we're also able to provide other things like our 211 call line and many, many other things. But these are the things that rise to the top with the partnerships that we have with you. And we're very, very thankful. And yes, we are thankful for Mr. Coates. He goes over and above to raise money for United Way each year, and we love him for it. So thank all of you for what you do for United Way and for what you do for our children. I often say if we want to change our future, it all happens with our children. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Owens, if I could just add one thing, that Carol talked about the 20 years of the pregnancy prevention program, and a stat I like to put parallel to that. In that 20 years, Crescent's on-time graduation rate has gone from 70% to 91 or 92%, and I think those two things correlate very well, or one has helped the other. At this time, parents, students, You are welcome to stay, but if you would like to leave, now's an appropriate time. But I want to make sure Dylan got all the pictures we needed for the website. So do we need to snap any before anybody leaves?
We didn't snap any.
So he's going to organize, so after we take the pictures, parents and students, if you would like to leave, you can.
If we can just go in the order that they called y'all out, and step up front real quick, we'll see.
Danny, we can leave.
Man, I hope. Well, you know, we lost two. Must be something in the water. I mean, Kelsey lost one. I don't want us to have one right now.
Yeah, it's tough to hear
That
right
might
now,
be,
but
well, that's one I'm late. But on the phone there, she said she called me. I said, Mama, I said, hey, can you stay at those?
Next item on the agenda is the citizens' comments. We don't have anyone signed up tonight for that, so we can jump right into reports. The financial report from Mr. Moore.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, I think we're having some technical issues. We'll get going. All right, so starting off with general fund through the end of February, we're in a very, very strong position. Our revenues exceeding our expenditures, $3,256,024. Looking over the past 5 years and perhaps ever, this is probably the strongest position we've been in the general fund through the month of February. Just wanted, I know we've talked about it throughout the course of the year, but just want to take the time to point out some of the key drivers behind that. The first being our state aid to classrooms, which is driven by our enrollment. So we're about $300,000, tracking to be about $300,000 above budget there due to our weighted pupil units increasing faster than the rate of that of those across the state. Property taxes being coming in higher than expected. I know we talked about the value of the mill over the past few months, and so that's. Let's see, you getting it? Getting there. Sorry. So we're about $300,000 above there just on the current side alone. Let's see. Will it let me jump? And with.
I swear.
Sorry. All right. Let him. I'm gonna stop looking at the screen. All right. So yeah, just the real estate collections alone, we're $300,000 ahead with auto collection still coming in. So we're doing well from a property tax collection standpoint. Early in the year, we discussed the food service fringe guidance we got. That was a big windfall for us that allowed food service to pay for the full amount of the benefits there. So that's about a $250,000 windfall. And then also these interest rates that we're getting at the state treasurer's office and that local government investment pool doing really well for us, getting good returns. So here through February, we're about $160,000 above budget there. So on the revenue side of things, we got a lot of things working in our favor to help drive this. And you can see on that, under that yellow heading there, $3.2 million, 3.1 being the closest, and the rest being under 3 million in years past. So really like where we're at in the general funds side of things. Expenditures on that side, everything's coming in about like we expect. A few timing differences with, for example, with the SRO payment. Things like that falling on the 29th versus the first of the month, that 1st of March that got paid last year. So there's a couple of timing differences there, but everything else is looking as it should be. Go to the last one, Dylan. Keep going. One more. Yeah, that's the property tax. That current line item really is the one I was wanting to draw your attention to. We're $4.8 million collected, 4.5 budgeted. So already this point in the year, we're doing well there, and hope that things will follow on the auto side as we continue from the rest of the year and into the summer. So in a strong position there. So that's another key driver and why we're in a good position there. Any questions related to general fund?
The fee in lieu of taxes for last year was a anomaly, right? With Owens Corning issue.
So the fee in lieu, we have been very, very conservative in the past and been kind of hesitant because it's just a handful of agreements there, and county's not always the most forthcoming with those because economic development, things like that, they don't release that overly freely. So that's a number because we have so few agreements. This one, we don't like to fluctuate up and down a whole lot, but talking with the county treasurer and economic development folks, the ones that we have in place feel like are going to be here to stay for a little while. So we just beefed up that budget last year to get it closer to what we've been seeing.
How was our attendance, as far as you mentioned the per pupil weighting, that it was higher, coming in higher? Is our attendance district-wide?
The attendance or the enrollments?
The enrollment.
Okay,
Sorry. Enrollment.
So the enrollment, last year we finished kindergarten through 12, I think we finished at 2599. This year I think at the 45-day was right around 2585. I've got that on my budget slide. We'll revisit that. But where we gained is the weighted pupil units and how the students are weighted. So areas where we grew was in special education weightings, which is a significant weighting under this new formula, and vocational weightings, your CTE students, that number grew for us as well. So while we lost a handful of students, we gained in those specific categories, and ours grew incrementally more than the states did, and the states actually decreased slightly. So that was working in our favor.
You said special education and then career technical education?
That was two of the larger drivers, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, if there's no more general fund questions, I'm free to try it. Okay, so sales tax collection came in this morning. Sorry about the delay for that. $292,650.54. Still a strong collection as we'd expect this month. It is slightly less than what it was this time last year, but still the second largest collection we've ever had. So still nothing to sneeze at, but it does look like that what we look at is the Christmas time spending kind of stabilizing from that of last year. May not see those big jumps like we've had in years past, but between the January and February collections, they net out to be almost identical, with a $10,000 swing one way in January and back the other way in February. So it continues to come in well. Looking at it from a fiscal year standpoint, we're slightly ahead of where we were last year in total collections for the district. We're about $70,000 ahead of where we were through the month of February last year. So still showing a slight increase in those sales tax collections. Any questions on those? All right. Now, on to the FY 24-25 budget. So I mentioned last month where we'd be with the House beginning debating their budget today. So that began and hope to have that wrapped up this week. Some of the highlights we have, you may have heard yourself, are I have right here in front of you. So the first one being the state minimum teacher salary schedule. So at the last meeting, we thought we were going to fall somewhere with around the governor's budget at $2,500 for teachers. The House kind of came out of left field on this one and increased the state the entry level pay from $42,500 to $47,000. So it's a $4,500 increase, but as you'll see in a moment, it's not $4,500 for every single sale. Would you mind going to that, Dylan? So it's a little kind of small there. So this is what the House Ways and Means has proposed for the new state minimum salary schedule, beginning at 47 and then going down all the way now to 28 steps. So in the past, prior to this year, the state minimum salary schedule stopped at 23. So they have extended it to 28 and increased to 47. And then beside that House Ways and Means schedule, I have the current state minimum schedule, but I want to draw your attention to the one on the far right, those proposed increases. So as you can see there, the amount of the raises for each cell are all across the board. So there's no defined way that they got to it other than just getting nice round numbers on their new minimum schedule. But you can see there, they really put a heavy emphasis on this top left hand side of the schedule where they're wanting to really attack, I guess the recruiting side of it, getting those younger teachers in the door is kind of how they've touted this. So they're really heavily focused on those younger bachelor's teachers and the master's teachers, somewhat, well, to the expense of those masters and 30s and doctorates. So that's really where they've placed their focus on, and I think this is kind of part of their plan to try to get to 50. Quite honestly, that's what Governor McMaster wants to do, and I think this is how they're going to do it. So that's kind of how the back end of it's working, and then so districts are not necessarily required to give those exact increases. All we're required to do is just meet that state minimum. So can you go to the next one, Dylan? This is the same schedule that they're proposing compared to our current year teacher salary schedule for the district. And I'll draw your attention to the far right schedule just to show how far away we are from being in compliance to this proposed schedule. So as you can see there, I think there's 9 cells that we're not already meeting that state minimum, which I think says a lot for our district and the emphasis we've placed on getting this competitive from the get-go. So we're not far away from meeting what the minimum is. So it's going to be interesting to see what districts across the state do to meet this new standard and how they'll go about getting there and where they'll place their points of emphasis there. But we'll go through many iterations of this, I'm sure, before we'll have a recommendation for you. But wanted to put this in front of you and let you know what's out there and let you know that when you see going from 42.5 to 47, it's not everybody getting $4,500 increase. So that's there. And we go back to the slide for me. The other items being debated in the House that we mentioned last month was the big health insurance premium increase on the employer side, 11.8%, which is a significant jump. Last year was 3.7, so over tripled the amount of cost to the district. And I'll have that quantified there for you on the next slide as well. The bus driver pay increase. So when I sent you this slide deck last week, there was a retention supplement for bus drivers in the budget. Since then, that has been removed and been replaced with a bus driver pay increase of 1.5% on the state minimum. So that is no longer in the House budget for that retention supplement. Sorry. And then the last one is the teacher supply checks. This is wholly state funded, so it's not a cost to the district, but that is getting increased from $350 to $400 as we move into next year. One more. That's just the proposed bus salary schedule. So, just wanted to quantify some things that we talk about from a budget standpoint, in addition to, some of those things I just mentioned from the House version. One thing we always try to do, one of the first steps we look to evaluate and see if we can do, we always aim to do, is providing steps for all of our staff that are on salary schedules. So I have it broken out there for you. The cost of a step for teachers, $145,000 in the general fund, $170,000 district-wide. That difference is due to those employees funded with federal funds and things like that. So, and the cost of providing the step for all other staff is $90,000. And these are actual numbers here based on our current staff and how they're currently funded. So this does not take into account any sort of staffing decisions or anything like that as we move forward to next year. So I just want to give you that disclaimer there. The bus driver increase at 1.5% would cost us $15,000, but of course that'd be offset by some of the funding that the state would provide. We anticipate the state providing for that. The health insurance increase, I mentioned that was going to be a big chunk for us, $270,000 in the general fund, $325 district-wide. So that's a large cost there. And I got what we think the funding quantified for that. So, and then lastly, on the expenditure side is the food service fringe. Now that we're seeing the benefits of the current year general fund, we also get to take advantage of budgeting with that as well. Now that we know the guidance is out there. So on the expenditure side, it will save us $390,000, but it's a two-parter. So we budget the fringe costs, and then we had a budgeted reimbursement from the food service fund prior to that. So the net's a $250,000 gain to the budget, and I have that highlighted on the next slide. On the revenue side of things, starting with our largest line item is that state aid to classrooms, and I have it broken into three different lines on how there's three different things working within that formula that affects our budget. The first one being that the ITA's index of tax paying ability. We know that that's going to go into effect next year, that big increase we saw due to our increase in our property tax base. So that increase in the index of tax paying ability is about a $350,000 hit. So currently, in the current year, we're projected to be about $300,000 above budget. So the net of that's that's $350 minus the $300 we're currently over budget is how I arrived at that $50,000 under our current budget. Now, the teacher increase that's being set aside at state level is $230 million statewide. So based on the tool that we worked on with the State Department, plugging in that $230 million should provide us $775,000 in funding. And using the same logic on the health insurance side, we did get a revised number for that the state's supposed to provide for health insurance funding. Initially, we've been told it would have been about $43 million. They updated that, Revenue Fiscal Affairs updated that to $74 million. So plugging that into the formula shows roughly $245,000. So 245 versus I'm showing a cost of 270. So honestly, a lot closer than I expected it to be. So, but we've been told we're getting actual projections from the state by the end of this week, next week at the latest. So we'll be sure to monitor that and let you know if there's any major discrepancies. On the bus driver increase, I'd expect it to get about $10,000 to help fund that, just because they will only increase their portion of the schedule as well. So that's a minor inflow there. And then we mentioned last month the Tier 3 money, the state sales tax, per the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office. We were projected to receive an additional $225,000 on that line item. And then local property tax revenue, we discussed the gains we've seen there, projecting a very rough number of $450,000 in additional funds. And I'll touch on that a little bit more on the next slide. And then the last line is that food service fringe funding. That's that second piece of that number to get us to that net $250,000 of savings there. So that's on the revenues. Last slide for me, Dylan. And then the last thing I just wanted to cover is just kind of those budget factors that are going to drive a lot of this information as we go forward. Ms. Arnold, there's that ADM I was telling you at the 45-day we were at 2586. Moving all our grades up a level, we're expecting to come down just a little bit. However, what we don't know is that weighted pupil units, where those students will be in terms of classifications and stuff like that. So I wouldn't anticipate that weighted pupil units changing too much, but we'll continue to monitor it. And last Friday was the 135th day. We don't have those numbers finalized yet, but what we can tell, it looks like at least our ADM is roughly in that 25-80 ballpark. So we didn't have significant drop off. So that's encouraging to see. The index of tax paying ability, you see we're currently at that 0.00217, and we had that, it's a small number, but it's a significant increase for how the formula works, up to 248 there. So now that's about a $350,000 loss to us in that factor alone. And then the last factor that's going to drive those property taxes, that value of a mill. We talked about it being a little bit higher than where we're going to start the budget process with, but since the books have opened, it started high and has come down every single month. So I don't want to start it where we are. I want to start in a conservative estimate, and we'll continue to monitor it. So I feel like $33,000 as the value of a mill is a good, safe place to start. So that increase from where we budgeted last year, that 3625, that difference of 2375 times our operational millage, is how I arrived at the $450,000 on the previous slide. So. No, it's a lot of numbers, a lot of factors thrown at you without a formal budget to put in front of you. But I just want to give you an update of where things stand at the state level, what we're seeing here locally, and kind of give you kind of the backbones of what we'll work with going forward. Any budget related questions?
Mr. Watt?
Yes, sir.
Two. First one, you mentioned 11.8% increase.
Yes.
That's on our side. How about on the
Employee? No employee increase.
Okay. And the other, as you mentioned that they were wanting to increase from 42.5 or 250, whatever it was, to 47.
Yes, on the
And
teacher.
the way you were showing those slides, does that mean the state's wanting to do away with steps, or?
They're still keeping steps. Is the increases they're providing from their current minimum to the new proposed minimum is not going to be uniform for every single teacher across the state.
Well, in my opinion, I know you want to attract young teachers.
Right.
But we got to keep these folks that's keeping us in business.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I'm an advocate.
I hear you. I think it's pretty loud and clear that they're focused more on the recruitment than the retention. I hear you.
But- And Mr. Watt, if I can interject there, that came up at the superintendent's meeting this past week, and I think we do need to make some calls to our House members and senators, because right now, that's not the way they're approaching it. But the superintendents have pointed that out too.
That's the first time I've seen that.
Right,
I've been here a while, so.
right.
Any other questions for Mr. Moore? I have one if not. The timeline for the state budget, does it look like it's going to be a decent timeline? Are they going to hold us hostage till June again?
There's been no indications of anything being held hostage like years past, running into late June or anything like that. Again, I've heard little to nothing out of the Senate side, which is not unusual, but typically we won't hear anything until after our next board meeting. But usually we'll have heard some rumblings if anything's coming down the pike that's any different. But we didn't see this new state minimum schedule coming. We thought it was going to be the $1,500 plus 5 days, or we thought it was going to be $2,500 for everyone, and then this is kind of out of left field, quite honestly. So I'd love to say it's going to go nice and smooth, but I think it seems like every year says this is the most aggravating budget season yet. So may find some wood to knock on, but I think I haven't heard anything money-wise, because the state seems to be pretty set on what their total budget is that they're working with, and I think in years past that could have caused issues when more money was revealed that they had to budget with, and that, of course, causes conflict with how to spend that little bit extra money. So in short, I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the operations report. Dr. Nixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll first give you an update with the bus parking lot. I hope everybody enjoyed driving by and see all those beautiful buses parked out there on that parking lot. It certainly did my heart good, but at the last board meeting, I told you that we were looking at about a 6-week window to get the buses moved. And got to be honest, we got lucky, and we'll take lucky any day of the week. The weather worked out. I think I'd mentioned that the weather has to be over 45 degrees and rising for the asphalt to be laid, and luckily we had a nice spell there. We had contractor availability as well as some really good weather working our advantage, and all the guys jumped in, pitched in, got those sections milled out. Like I said, over 3,000 cubic yards of asphalt were removed, got those areas paved back, and got the striping done according to the new layout. The bus parking lot is finished with the exception of 2 things. There's a pedestal going to be on the Hamilton Street entrance, which will allow for key card and code access by our buses on the motorized gate there. And we're waiting on a 400 amp panel. Supply chains are still an issue with large electrical equipment, and that 400 amp panel is projected to be shipped to us April the 22nd. There's no other alternative. We've discussed that with electrical engineers, and to do it right, we're going to have to wait until that April 22nd deadline for that for Square D to finally have that panel delivered to us, and that will electrify all of the bus charging stations. So, been a very interesting project. We're glad to have it finished. Had a lot of positive feedback from the community as well as our bus drivers. They're really enjoying their new office space and enjoying the parking lot. So. Good news I got Friday also. We'll be able to quantify that at the April board meeting, but both the district office and the bus parking lot, according to Jay Davis, were both under budget as well. So we'll be able to tell you about the cost savings that we incurred between the 2 projects at the April board meeting as well. Anybody have any questions about the bus parking lot? Next slide is a hyperlink to an invitation letter to all the board members for our May 3rd spring federal program planning meeting. Spoke with the principals and some stakeholders, and they chose to keep that meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning. I hope you'd be able to attend, but that encompasses all of our title programs, Title I through Title V. Tremendous amount of money, but it's also a grassroots model where we want input from the community as well as our board members. So feel free, all those plans are available on the district webpage, so feel free to look at those. And if you're not able to attend the meeting will be recorded and minutes will be placed on the district webpage in addition to the YouTube video of the meeting itself. So hopefully y'all will be able to attend that meeting. Next slide, please. Security grant, we wrote this grant about 8 months ago. We've been told that we were going to get the GAN and the funding notification for several months now. We finally received that last week, and Anderson 3 was awarded $266,082. That grant money will be used to do perimeter fencing around the 3 schools that do not have perimeter fencing around them, where students occupy during the school day, which will encompass Star Middle School, Star Elementary School, and Flat Rock Elementary School. And the remainder of those funds will be used to finish the rekeying project. The same grant that was written 5 years ago that provided key card access and rekeyed the entire district, this is an extension of that grant. And we had to rekey some of the doors, but we were not able to make those storefront locks. So with this money, we'll be able to make sure that all the storefront locks, the remainder, I think it's 22 in the district, that will be converted to storefront locks with this grant money as well. The work will have to be done during the summer to not interrupt instruction. Does anybody have any questions about the security grant money? All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Nixon. Next up, we have Ms. Lee Burton to give us a special services update.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me time to speak tonight and share information about our Special Services Department. Just got some information for you to kind of just bring you up to speed of where we are and what our district looks like in this capacity and kind of what we're doing with this. So, Dylan, I get it. Great. Uh-oh. I thought, that's not me. Sweet little pictures. So I wanted to start with an overview of our department just to kind of explain where everything is. So at our 3 elementary schools, Star Elementary houses our preschool program for students with disabilities ages 3 through 5. That's 5 years old, not yet in kindergarten. And we have a resource support services there, as well as a speech language therapist. At Iva Elementary, there's a self-contained classroom for students with more of our moderate to severe disabilities, and those students are K-5 through 5th grade, with resource support services also in that school, and also a speech language therapist. At Flat Rock Elementary, our classroom for moderate to severe students, all ages, that can be ages 3 through 21, which I know sounds kind of scary a little bit, but it really doesn't look that way, and we don't have that high of a range of student right now, but we do have students that do spend a good many of their educational years at Flat Rock Elementary. We also have a resource support services teacher there, teachers, and a speech language therapist. At the middle school, we have our self-contained classroom for children ages in 6th through 8th grade, as well as resource support. And at the high school, our self-contained program looks a little bit different because we have our classroom for students in grades 9 through 12. We also have our high school credential program for students 9 through 12. And right now, we do have 3 students graduating, working towards our high school credential for the class of 2024. And then we offer our resource support services there. Related services across the district, we have an occupational therapist, we have a physical therapist, orientation and mobility specialist, sign language interpreter, who also serves as a language model for a student at Star Elementary. We work with the School for the Deaf and Blind for our hearing and vision support. We offer virtual speech therapy for our middle school and high schoolers. And we have applied behavioral analysis and behavioral interventionists coming in to work with some of our elementary kiddos. Some of these related service providers are not employees of Anderson School District 3. These guys are contracted with kind of as needed to fit the needs at that time. This is what currently students look like. We have 391 students. This was yesterday when I pulled this, 391 students in our special education program as of today. Those 391 make up 21 early childhood IEPs. Those are kids ages 3 through 5, not yet in kindergarten. 197 school-age kiddos, ages 5 through 12. And then our transition IEPs, we have 163, and those are our children that are 13 plus in the life of the year of their IEP. And then right now we have 10 transferable services open. Those are students who are transferring to our district and are in the process of enrolling and haven't really had all the paperwork finalized yet. So that's kind of what our 391 students look like at this time. And there's our sweet Georgia. So enrollment, those 391 students, this is what they look like by disability. Now, if you do the math here, can tell obviously that there's more than 391 if you add this up, but some of our students have multiple disabilities. So some students are counted twice in this enrollment data. But 50 students with autism, 7 deaf, hard of hearing, 23 with developmental delays, 3 with emotional disabilities, 16 with intellectual disabilities, 8 with just multiple disabilities, speech language impaired, 132, other health impaired, and that's usually where we get our medical conditions, ADD, ADHD, 78, visually impaired, 6, 1 child with a traumatic brain injury, and 213 specific learning disabilities and 4 orthopedic handicaps. So the majority of our students do land in the speech language impaired and the specific learning disability categories under IDEA. Just a little child count trend. Child count is how the state refers to our numbers that's pulled every year. There's a date in October that they pull the number, and then we finalize it around January. So this is the date, this is the number that we finalized in these years. So just wanted you to kind of see the trend as we saw. We were hanging in around 345, 348. Then we went down a little bit. We had some students who were dismissed from services, and we just didn't have a high enrollment that year. And then all of a sudden, we're starting to shoot back up again to 365 and 394. I do think that in that 2021 and 2022 school year, there were some students that just still weren't coming back to face-to-face instruction from the pandemic. But we are seeing a pretty significant increase from 2020 to 2024. Just wanted to kind of put this out in front of you, but for our IEPs and for our progress monitoring and for our instruction and our curriculum, we use all these programs within our districts for, we use the Read 180, Math 180, and the Systems 44 curriculums from Houghton Mifflin. We have Spire and Sound Sensible reading programs from School Specialty, and we also have the Heinemann products, Do the Math and Do the Math Now. utilized kind of across the districts from our youngest to our oldest, and lots of other things that the teachers are doing in their individual schools, but these are the programs that are kind of sponsored for the Special Services Department. So this year we've been, and I look at it like fortunate, lucky to have been selected to go through a program review, because I do, I think some people would think that's a scary thing to do, but I do look at it as an opportunity to learn how to make improvements, some things that you could be doing better, and kind of bring out some things that you're doing well. I think we need to continue to grow, and the only way to continue to grow is to kind of know what those areas are. Our program review, we're just now starting to get the information back from that. It did happen in August, but they're just now sending us information from the State Department. But general commendations were that we do a pretty good job maintaining appropriate policies and procedures for our special ed programs, making efforts to avoid removal from the school and from the classroom settings with disciplinary reasons, and encouraging collaboration between special education teachers and general education teachers. And you're going to see as I go through these slides some kind of constant themes that are coming up from all of our stakeholders. And we'll talk about a little bit what we're going to do about that at the end. But higher rates of compliance are meaningful parent participation in the process, adhering to our timelines, considering special factors related to behavior and assistive technology, and considering the need for extended school year. We are also rated highly in documenting our specialized instruction, our progress reports, for our IEP progress reports, considering the least restrictive environment, and the systems that are in place to implement our IEP accommodations with our gen ed teachers and behavioral intervention plans. So part of this process, we did survey gen ed teachers, special education teachers, and parents. This information was shared with all of our parents, all of our teachers, so it was a wide representation, and they felt like the participation we got back from our survey data was a good representation of the population. So general ed teachers, their highest level agreement was that they felt like they were, their participation in the IEP process, they felt like they were able to provide input, made aware of student progress. They felt like they were valued as a team member. The lowest level of agreement from gen ed teachers, which was rated the lowest, but it was still between the 60 and 80% agreement range, so it's not really low, it's just the lowest area, was general education teachers indicated that they do not have the opportunity to collaborate and plan instruction with special ed teachers. They would like to be more informed about instructional techniques related to teaching children with disabilities, and they do not know how to provide behavioral supports or implement behavior support plans. So what we're seeing here, this is the start of that common thing. We're seeing they want more time together, more time to collaborate, more time to plan, more time to talk about the students, and we really need some help in the area of behavior. That's an area that's kind of really hitting, I think, all of our schools in Anderson 3 and all of our friends in other districts around is the area of behavior. So this helped us kind of move us in that direction. The special ed teachers agreed that they receive sufficient support and training. They get to collaborate with other providers. They get to collaborate with general ed teachers. Very good with assessments, very good with instructional models, and very good with positive behavior supports, and that's probably within their classroom. So, but they did indicate that they do not have enough time to collaborate, and they would like to be provided additional professional learning opportunities to address behavioral assessments, behavioral intervention plans, and manifestation determinations. So back to those same areas. And then the parents feel included, they feel comfortable. They stated that the open lines of communication with the school, they feel like their information is kept confidential. Parent input is welcome, progress reporting, they know what's going on with their children. They feel like the information is easy to understand and is presented well to them. They feel like IEPs are appropriate and educational needs are being met. 100% of the parents with a child receiving special ed services reported the school facilitated parent involvement. And I was happy to feel it, to get the news that our parents felt like they were being involved. And I think we can always do better, but that's a good thing. Their lowest level of agreement, which was still above 75%, but parents did indicate they would like more training to help them support their children at school. And they also indicated they wanted to learn more about long-term planning and safety for their children, probably as they get older and as they transition out of school services. So that's something we can definitely do for them. Taking all that into consideration, there's two things we need to focus on. One thing, behavior, which I'll get to. One is time for teams to coordinate. So that's just something I'll have to work with the principals on to see if we can figure out a time or a better way for our gen ed staff and our special ed staff to coordinate with each other within the school day. Right now, it's been a little bit challenging because professional development has been taking through our letters training, which is a great thing because I think the letters training that our teachers are participating in is making a huge impact in our special education classrooms in the area of reading too. They're learning skills that they've not learned before. So excited about that, but we still need to find time for that collaboration that they're requesting. We also need to go back and make sure we're developing our IEPs, we're implementing our IEPs. And the reason this slide is put this way is Enrich is leaving us. We're losing Enrich this year, and we're going to EdPlan SC, which is a product of PCG, which is the Public Consulting Group. So as we transition from Enrich to EdPlan SC, there's going to be a lot of training. I think this will be the prime time for us to talk about, when we're learning how to use the documents in EdPlan, it's a prime time for us to be talking about how we're developing the IEPs and making sure our goals are smart and making sure that our needs or the child's needs are being addressed and all the things that go into the pieces and parts of an IEP. So the priority moving into EdPlan SC is to kind of beef up our development and implementation of IEPs. In addition to that, back in November, I went to 2 trainings, function-based thinking and problem-solving function-based thinking. The premise is that basically in order to help a child with their behavior, you got to understand what's causing the behavior. What's the function of the behavior so you can dig into that and see what's going on and provide them supports with what's going on. So I was doing that, started to get that information, going to bring things back to our district, and then we were given the opportunity to apply to be a partner district with the Behavior Alliance of South Carolina. So Anderson 3 was selected to partner with BASC to support the collective work of implementing a multi-tier system of support in the area of behavior. So the need was being shared through all these surveys and all these meetings, and then this was kind of going on, and then all the information just kind of hit us at once. So it was kind of like the good Lord was looking out for us, and it was kind of just putting all the pieces and parts into place at the right time. So the action steps for next is we're going to establish a district level team that will be made up of all kinds of people from elementary, middle, and high school, and district level staff. We're going to start looking at the data, determining that why, what's going on with our kiddos, what's causing them to possibly have these behavioral needs. We'll look at attendance data, we'll look at mental health data, we'll look at any data that the schools have that they feel is important that tells the story of a kid. And then we're going to receive focused tier 1. Tier 1 is the classroom, everything going on in the classroom, the gen ed classroom, the day-to-day. Tier 2 is when we up that support a little bit, and then tier 3 is when we really give them more specialized instruction. But all of that will be provided to us by a BASC regional behavioral coach. It's not us doing it, it's coaches coming in and helping us learn and helping us put things into practice. It'll be a multi-year partnership. BASC is out of Clemson, so it's local for us. I mean, it's really easy for us to get in touch with these people and for them to come in and support our district. So just really excited at what's to come. We haven't even started with establishing a district level team yet. That's how new this is. So moving forward, I feel like this is going to help our parents. I think this will help our gen ed staff, our special ed staff. I think it's going to bring the collaboration that we need. And it's also going to allow for all the teachers in our district to feel like they're getting more information in the area of behavior. Just like they're doing this year in reading, we're going to add that to it in that area of behavior to help them. And that's the Department of Special Services in a nutshell. So can I answer any questions for anybody or?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
That was some good information. Thank you very much.
Anytime I can answer any questions or show you around, love to show everybody off.
Well, I feel informed myself. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Okay, and we, at this time, will look forward to hearing from Flat Rock Elementary about their 2023 school report card. Ms. Christy Dodd, principal. And we're glad to have some of her teachers with us, a good representation of her teaching staff with us tonight.
Down?
Okay. Good evening. I wanted to start by thanking my peers who are here tonight to support our school. And I wanted to start by saying thank you to Kathy and to all of you for the additional teachers that you have given our school. They are going to make a huge difference, and you will see that. It's already happening with the second resource teacher that you all agreed to provide for us in December. We're seeing a lot of improvement just in a few months. But I did want to let you know that the additional faculty member that you gave us will be a fourth, third grade teacher next year. That's something we've wanted to do for a long time, and so we're very, very appreciative of that, and thank you very much. Okay, I hope I can see that far. So I did want to share with you our vision and our mission statement at Flat Rock. Our vision is to be committed to excellence, and our mission is to love, nurture, and educate all of the students at Flat Rock Elementary School to the best of our ability. So we do believe at Flat Rock that we're a community, and we do believe that we collaborate very well to serve our students. I am not going to go through all of those wonderful things, but I did want to highlight some of them for you. I'll talk about Shine in just a minute, but a couple of those that I wanted to call attention to were, one, our after-school program. We have a partnership with YMCA for an after-school program which serves more children than they've ever served in the past. But our after-school program that we are currently running using Title I funds is very important to our school, and we always see a lot of positive gains in our students after that. So we appreciate you supporting those efforts that we have. I did want to mention the backpack snack pack. It happened that, United Way showed up here tonight. Andrea told me today we are serving 45 students. That's the most we have ever served at our school. And so it is a great partnership, and we're thankful for that because we definitely benefit from that. You can see that we have several partnerships with Grace Baptist Church, Flat Rock Baptist, Unity Baptist, our Michelin Challenge and Education Partnership. They don't even score that thing anymore because we win every year. And so they just stopped giving awards for it, and we are thankful for our Michelin partners. And the last thing is we are getting ready to do our United Way fundraiser. If any of you would like to join us, we will be boogieing for babies in March before March is over. So I did want to share a little bit about our population with you because I feel like that's something, looking at our data, that's something that we've really tried to focus on some groups that needed a lot of support. Our current population at Flat Rock today is 417. On Wednesday, it will be 418. So we are doing our part to keep our student numbers up. I did want to share with you, though, our population is changing. Our MLL population right now is 30. That is an increase of 9 students from the end of last year. We are seeing a lot of students move in. A lot of these MLL children are not speaking any English. When we have 3 right now that don't speak any English in the building at all. And then our SPED resource population right now is at 39, and that is why we are so thankful for the second teacher that you provided for us. We serve 39. That's up from about 25 last year, but I feel like it's important for you to know that of that increase of about 14, 15 students, that 10 of those students are transfers into our district. And then I did want to share our poverty index with you. Our poverty index when the state report card went out was 82.1%. That is an increase of 7.9% in 1 year. We are 5th of all elementary schools in Anderson County and 7th of all schools in Anderson County, and that is not an excuse. That is, I want you to know that we are familiar with our population. We know who we're working with. We love these children, but we're proud of them, and we're proud of the work that we do with them because we're not going to let poverty be an excuse for our children. We are going to be excellent. And those are just some sweet pictures of our kiddos and some of the different things that we have going on at school. Now moving into the data. We use this data to help drive some decisions when we started meeting back in the summer and the fall. So you can see on this slide that 64.3% of our students were meets or exceeds on SC Ready ELA. In math, we were at 58.6% met and exceeds. And we look at that and we made some decisions based on that, and we had some people that we felt like with some strengths that we could make a difference with that. So we did move some faculty members around in response to that. And I will let you know that we weren't surprised by the results. We feel like MAP was a pretty good indicator of how we were going to do. And we feel that way again. And then on science, we were at 66.7% meets or exceeds. And we did make a change there. That fell to one teacher in fourth grade, and now all 3 fourth grade teachers are sharing the responsibility of teaching science to our students. This is an area where we have really focused. So this is our bottom 20%, and 45.7% of our bottom 20% showed that they made adequate progress. That is compared to all students who made adequate progress at 56.3%. So that is a pretty good bit lower. And so I wanted to share with you how we have addressed that bottom 20%, really how we've addressed the needs of all of our students, but this bottom 20%. And I'm going to start by telling you this is not my brainchild. The administrators that I work with in my building are phenomenal, and this was a group effort. Last year, we started a program in our school, and it was just this 30-minute intervention block first thing in the morning. And we did it with 3rd through 5th grade. And we did see increase in achievement doing that. At the end of the year last year, our 1st and 2nd grade teachers came to us, and they asked to be included in that. So I went back to the drawing board, found another master schedule, and we were able to include 1st and 2nd grade with that. So this year at Flat Rock, we are doing 30 minutes, and the word I have tried to use all year is intentional. We have used 30 minutes in the morning of intentional services with our children, and now it has a name. It's called SHINE. That is Students Having Intervention, Needs Met, and Enrichment. Because we're not just looking at the bottom 20%, we're looking at everybody. So during that 30 minutes, everybody in the building, including myself if I'm needed, we all have a small group. Children are placed in groups based on 3 or more data points so that we're looking at what they really need. But what I really love about this is I feel like our teachers are being very supported in this, because last year we did provide them with some resources, and that did help. But this year, if you've taught, you know that time is precious, and looking for resources is extremely difficult sometimes. So our teachers don't have to do that, and that's part of that intentional piece. We provided the resources. So if I give you a group, you know that this student is in a UFly group, that's a reading group, and you know they're going to start on lesson 38 because that's where they are. So we got very, very prescribed with what we were giving these children in that 30-minute time slot, and we were giving the teacher the resources that he or she needs to make it happen. So it's been very, very productive, and so we're addressing all of ELA and all of math. Students who needed enrichment, we have book club. Children who are individual during that time, they have a schedule worked out. We've kind of gone back to basics at Flat Rock this year. That is some sustained reading on grade level for students during that time, and we use our programming, our IXL, and our progress learning during that time for students on their level where they are. So students who are ahead get to work on what they're ready for. And we do believe, based on the MAP data that we're seeing right now, that we're going to see a bump and a big increase in our scores for sure. Also, we looked at our disabled population. And if you look at that the bottom quadrant of that slide, our MLL population, 67.1% of those students made adequate progress, and I think that's good. And that's a testament to Heather Smith and all of our teachers working with these students. But then if you look again at our disabled and non-disabled population, our non-disabled population was making the progress at 58%, and our disabled population at 45.5%. And we did realize that we had a real issue with our resource students, and so we also got very intentional there. And we picked 2 curriculums that were provided by Special Education Services, and that is what we used to meet IEP goals when those children receive those services. And I can promise you the addition of that teacher's making a huge difference because the caseloads are manageable for our teachers and they are able to get more done. So again, thank you very much for that. And then, I went the wrong way. And then looking at our climate, on our last report card, we scored a 7.94 out of 10, and we realize that we have an opportunity for growth there. And so things that we have focused on this year with all of our school community, parents, students, and teachers, we feel like we've given an opportunity for increased collaboration and communication among our teachers and some vertical planning. We've also increased attention to the resource needs that our teachers have to make sure they do have what they need in their classrooms. We've tried to really recognize the good and celebrate all of the things that need to be celebrated, and we've given our families increased opportunities to be in our building. And then I wanted to finish up by sharing with you, of course, these are our report card scores. We started several years ago at below average, and we have had excellent, and we missed that excellent by 1 point this year. But I'm still very proud of that good score that we had. And then this is just another breakdown in the different areas where we have scored through the years since we've been having our school report cards. But I wanted to finish up with our map projections, and you can see those colors make it very easy. The column on the left is how we were doing in the fall. The column in the middle is how we were doing in the winter, and you can see the green is where there was forward progress, and the red is backwards, but those numbers are very, very small. And then we compared our data from last year to this year, and in a lot of areas, we are projecting about 8 percentile points higher than we did last year. And one example I can have for you is that the third grade math teacher came to me, we share this, we don't try to hide anything from anybody, and she wants to supplement with what she calls math wars in her classroom because we realize that's an area, that's an opportunity for growth there. So we do look at this data, and if this data is projecting, and I believe it is, we will see an increase in our SE Ready scores this year, for sure. And then this last thing I wanted to share with you is letters. I know y'all have heard a lot about letters, but I really need to tell you thank you. I need you to hear, look, you see them all smiling back there. In 33 years in education, this is the best training I've ever done. I graduated from college with an early childhood degree, and I didn't know how to teach anybody how to read, and I think I could do it now. But I wanted to show you, if you look at that graph, the information on the left, I'm just going to, because I want to make sure, and I want to make sure I get my words right, okay? Because I do want y'all to understand this. This half of the graph is the beginning of the school year, and you cannot really compare it to this. This is winter, because in the fall, a first grader, this is one first grade classroom, they take parts A through E of the core phonics test. And if you will look at the beginning of the year, this teacher had 2 children who needed intensive intervention. The yellow students needed strategic intervention, and a 95% or better means you benchmark, you've mastered it. I want you to look what happened when the teacher progress monitored. Everybody met the benchmark from the beginning of the year through just a couple of weeks, and look, and you can see the percentage increases. This child was new, and that represents him down here. And then if you look at winter, they took parts A through K, and my primary people tell me that it really ups the difficulty of the test when you go from here to here. And I want you to look. We're seeing progress monitoring. When we move over, we're seeing gains for everybody. And even though these children are still in strategic intervention, their increases are massive. So, I do believe that we are going to see our investment in letters training pay off in dividends for our students. It's been amazing what it has done for our school. And the last is just what we believe our strengths and our areas of opportunity are. We do believe that our strengths are that we have a sense of family and community, our family engagement, our school community partnerships. We have high expectations of standards-based instruction and data-driven decision-making. Our shine is perhaps the best thing we do all day. That intervention piece in our building has made a huge difference. Our MLL program, our collaboration, vertical planning, our resource program, and our MTSS, I'll put up against anybody. We do have areas of opportunities. We need to improve our school culture. We're always looking to increase student and teacher attendance. We're always looking to increase achievement of students, specifically our SPED population, and improve our teaching practices, and I do believe Letters is going to do that, and just very, very proud of what we've been able to do with our students. And there's our sweet teachers in training. One of those pictures was even taken today when we were doing training. So, what questions do you have for me?
Anyone have any questions? Doesn't sound like we have any questions, but I want to thank you. I appreciate what you and your staff do. When I look at other parts of the state and some of the struggles that schools deal with, I am very happy of our staff and your staff. We've got a lot going for us.
Yes, sir. We do. Thank y'all.
Larry and I both were here, I guess, on one of maybe, Miss Hill, when we actually, built Flat Rock. And I remember the struggles from, some of the teachers not wanting to go over there from other schools, because of camaraderie and,
Yes,
everybody's
sir.
got community like you talked about. But I think you got pretty good.
We have community.
We're
Some of
proud
those are my children, some of them my sisters and brothers, depends on how old they are today.
You know how to get them together.
That's something we've worked hard on, and our children benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Action items. On the number 8 there, the ELA textbook adoption. You want to speak on that?
Yes, basically, we've gone through the adoption process, a very detailed process, lots of input. Lee Burton and Laura Beth Smith headed that up with our teacher groups, and you'll see the consensus of the materials as recent as last week. The elementary choice is HMH intro reading. Star Ivy is also using the HMH product. Crescent High School's choices, Salvus Learning, and then the AP language one. So this has the consensus of all of our groups, and we'll just ask for the board approval tonight so we can turn it into the State Department.
We have a recommendation for the ELA textbook adoption. Is there a motion to?
I like a motion.
We have a motion from Mr. Holbrook to accept the recommendation, a second from Mr. Watt. Is there any discussion? None? All in favor? It's unanimous. Next item up for discussion here is the April board meeting date. It happens to fall during spring break. Do you want to comment on that as well?
Just, board policy says that board meets the second Monday of each month except for July. And the April board meeting falls on the Monday we get back from spring break, which will, during the budget season, the timing of that is not good because having an up-to-date budget report the day we come back from spring break. So the recommendation here, board policy allows us to change that meeting with a majority vote, and so the recommendation is to move the April board meeting to April 15th, which would give an additional week. It also falls well that month because April has 5 Mondays in it, if I remember, so it does put the meeting at the middle of the month.
I'm good.
Is that a motion?
I'll make it a motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Watt, and I believe I heard Ms. Arnold second it. Any discussion? I have one question. Going back to the earlier statement, are we likely to have a budget, any information before the April meeting anyway?
We won't have any,
Are we going to have anything before May?
we may not have new information from the state, but it will give us an opportunity to compile and bring everything I showed you, bring it to a little more condensed format.
And that 1 week's going to make a big difference.
I think so. And it will give us opportunity to measure where we are through the end of March, closing out that month. It gives us opportunity to make sure that there's no changes through March as that affects the budget.
Any other discussion?
Hopefully, too, it will give us more time to see what everyone's doing with the teacher salary schedules, which for us is a big part of our budget anyway. So I think should have a clearer recommendation by then.
Fantastic. No more discussion? All in favor? Again, it's unanimous. The April board meeting will be held on April 15th. You have some some appendix items that was sent to you as well. Item number 9 on the agenda. Everyone's aware that your statements of economic or interest are due to the state by the last day of the month here. And do you want to speak on the service review?
Yes, the on-site review was actually at Star Island Middle School this time, and got a very favorable remarks from this person from the state who came in on the quality of the food and the appearance. District-wide, a lot of work has been done on the serving lines and things like that, and so just Julie Pellis does a great job coordinating all of that with us, and so just wanted to make you aware that everything was in compliance.
Fantastic, thank you. Next item on the agenda is I will entertain a motion now to enter into executive session to deal with personnel matters, returning teacher recommendations for 2024 and 2025, recommendations for new hires, employee resignation, and contractual matters. Action is necessary on all of them. I have a motion from Mr. Watt.
Second.
Second from Mr. Baltnight. Any discussion? All in favor? Let's do it.